A billionaire, one of the richest people on the planet with everything money can buy. Cars, mansions, yachts, yet there's something missing in his life. But what if I told you that his life would change forever, not through another business deal or luxury purchase, but because of an unexpected hero? A dog. Sounds unbelievable, right? Stick around because in the next few minutes, you'll learn how this billionaire's entire view on animals and loyalty was turned upside down. Meet John Harrington. He's a man who's mastered the art of wealth. With a portfolio of companies, endless meetings, and an empire to manage, John has spent his life focused solely on success. To him, animals were nothing more than a distraction, a nuisance even. His lifestyle was all about high-end tech gadgets, luxurious homes, and being surrounded by the finest things money could buy. But despite all his wealth, John's world lacked something simple, a genuine connection to another living being. In this video, we're diving into a shocking true story, one that shows how even the most hardened, wealth-driven hearts can change. You'll learn how one unexpected event, a heroic act from an unlikely source, transformed a billionaire's entire view on loyalty, love, and the value of companionship. And trust me, this is not your typical billionaire story. It's about real emotions, an extraordinary bond, and how a dog became the billionaire's most loyal companion. You won't want to miss the twist that takes this from a simple rescue story to something much deeper. So keep watching as we unfold how a billionaire who once saw animals as mere accessories discovered the true meaning of loyalty and love from the most unlikely of heroes. It was a day like any other for billionaire John Harrington. He was rushing through his schedule, heading to a crucial business meeting that could change the course of his empire. His car sped down a quiet, winding road far from the chaos of city life. The sun was setting, painting the sky in vibrant shades of orange and red. But what happened next would change everything. Without warning, a sharp screech of tires echoed through the air. A reckless driver swerved into John's lane, sending his car careening off the road. The world seemed to freeze as John's car flipped and crashed into a tree. Everything went black. Inside the wreckage, John was trapped unconscious, bleeding. The last thing he remembered was the sound of twisting metal and the suffocating smell of smoke. The few people who might have been nearby were nowhere to be found. The billionaire, once invincible in the world of business, now lay helpless with no one to help him. But then, something extraordinary happened. Out of nowhere, a figure appeared in the distance, a dog, a stray, seemingly out of place in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't a small, timid dog, but a large, strong creature. It spotted John's crashed car from the edge of the woods, sensing something was terribly wrong. The dog didn't hesitate. Without any training, without any command, it charged toward the wreckage. The dog's instincts were sharper than anyone could have predicted. It sniffed at the air, its ears alert, and then it started pulling at the wrecked door with surprising force. Using its teeth, the dog managed to yank the door open, just enough for John to breathe in fresh air. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, the dog managed to drag John away from the wreck, pulling him farther from the smoke and flames that were beginning to consume the car. As John lay unconscious, the dog didn't stop. It barked loudly, alerting a nearby farmer who had been tending to his fields. The man rushed over, and together they managed to get John to safety. But it was the dog who had done the hardest part, saving a life with nothing but instinct and sheer determination. The stray wasn't finished yet, though. It stayed by John's side, guarding him as he regained consciousness, watching over him with a loyalty that no human could match. This wasn't just any dog. This was a true hero. When John slowly came to, the first thing he noticed wasn't the pain from his injuries, nor the confusion of his surroundings. It was the dog. The same stray that had pulled him from the wreckage was now sitting beside him, watching over him with unblinking eyes. its fur matted and dirt-streaked, but its gaze calm and unwavering. John tried to sit up, but the pain hit him hard. The dog didn't move, but its presence was reassuring, like it was guarding him from the world outside. As the days passed, John was bedridden, recovering from the accident that had nearly cost him his life. And every day without fail the dog was there. It never left his side. It was there in the morning when John woke up, sitting quietly at the foot of his bed, and there at night, curled up near the door. Despite everything, John found himself growing used to the dog's constant presence, and surprisingly, he didn't mind it. In fact, it felt comforting. At first, John thought it was just a temporary thing. The dog had saved his life, and now it was just staying around out of some sense of duty. But as the days turned into weeks, he started to realize something he hadn't expected. The dog wasn't just a fleeting presence. It had become a part of his life. Every morning it was there waiting for him to wake up, and when John limped down the stairs, the dog followed him, sticking to his side like a shadow. It didn't matter that John had never been an animal lover, or that he had once seen dogs as little more than pets to be ignored. This dog, this stray, had done something that few people could ever do. It had saved him, and in doing so, it had earned something far greater than just his gratitude. Over time, John started to realize that the dog wasn't just a pet. It was a companion, a silent partner in his life, offering him a kind of loyalty that he'd never truly known before. In the stillness of those quiet mornings, John found himself talking to the dog. At first, it was nothing more than casual words, just to break the silence. But soon those words turned into conversations. John found himself confiding in the dog, talking about the things that weighed on his mind, his struggles, his fears, even his dreams. The dog never spoke a word, but it listened, always there, always present, offering the quiet comfort of a friend who didn't judge. As weeks turned into months, John began to see the dog not just as an animal, but as something far more profound. The dog had no idea who he was or what he had achieved in the business world. It didn't care about his wealth, his status, or his fame. It cared about him, plain and simple. The billionaire had spent his entire life focused on power and success, but in the quiet companionship of this dog, he found something he'd never had before, a bond unconditional and pure. As the months went by, something unexpected began to change in John. The billionaire, who once saw animals as nothing more than background noise in his fast-paced life, started to see them in a completely different light. It wasn't just the dog's loyalty that had shifted his perspective, but the realization that animals in their own quiet way could teach him more about loyalty, love, and trust than any business deal ever could. It started small. One day, after a particularly quiet evening with the dog, John decided to visit an animal shelter. He had seen the headlines, of course, but something about it felt different now. He walked through the aisles, surrounded by dogs, each one eager for attention, affection, and care. For the first time in his life, he felt something stir inside him, a deep empathy, a desire to do something more. He didn't just leave the shelter with a new dog in tow. He walked away with a promise to himself. John began adopting more dogs, taking in strays, and even bringing in dogs that others had abandoned. It wasn't about having pets anymore, it was about offering them a life, a chance at something better. With each new dog, John's heart grew fuller. The more he cared for them, the more he realized how much he had been missing all these years. He was no longer just giving them a home, he was giving them his heart. But John didn't stop there. He used his wealth and influence to take things even further. He built a sanctuary for abandoned and neglected animals, a place where dogs, cats, and other animals could find shelter, love, and a second chance. It was a place where they could run, freely play, and feel safe, something he had never known they needed until now. Through this sanctuary, John became a vocal advocate for animal welfare. He started supporting animal rights organizations, donating millions to causes that worked to protect animals from abuse, neglect, and cruelty. His wealth, once dedicated solely to expanding his business empire, was now being used to give these voiceless creatures the chance they deserved. One afternoon, as he stood in front of a crowd at the sanctuary speaking about the importance of animal welfare, John shared the story of how his life had changed. He told them about the dog who had saved him, the dog who had opened his heart to a world he had ignored for so long. He explained how that one act of heroism had shifted everything for him, how it had taught him the value of loyalty, unconditional love, and the importance of caring for those who couldn't care for themselves. As he spoke, he looked out at the audience, seeing their faces light up. But what he didn't realize was that his story was having a ripple effect. People who had once been indifferent or unaware of the suffering animals faced began to take action. Donations poured into the sanctuary. Volunteers came from all over eager to help. John had gone from a man who once cared only about business to someone who now saw the bigger picture. And it was all because of a dog that saved his life and in return changed his entire world. In the end, it's amazing to think how one single act of loyalty, one unspoken moment of bravery, can change the course of an entire life. For John Harrington, it wasn't a business deal or another luxury purchase that transformed him. It was the loyalty of a stray dog, a creature with no reason to care for him, that opened his heart to something deeper than wealth or power ever could. That dog didn't just save him physically, it saved him emotionally, showing him that love and loyalty are the greatest treasures life can offer. The bond that grew between them wasn't just about companionship, it was about trust, understanding, and the kind of connection that can only come from giving yourself to another being without expectation. And what John realized, perhaps for the first time, was that this kind of love is universal. It doesn't matter how much money you have or how much success you've achieved, loyalty and love are the forces that truly define our lives. As John's story shows, sometimes the most unexpected things can lead to the most profound changes. And that dog, it wasn't just a pet anymore. It was a symbol of what truly matters, something money could never buy. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories like this. Share this video with others who need a reminder of the power of loyalty, and join us as we explore more stories that show how love can truly change the world.